asking. No, seriously. We all live beautiful lives. And then yet we have days that are so crappy, right? We have these lives that we live, and some days are better than others. And some days are so hard that it really is a challenge for us to even think that it could possibly get better than this. Like when you're living the great days, you're like, it's always going to be great. And when you're living the hard days, you feel like it's always going to be hard. But the great days and the challenging days are all temporary, right? And I realize I'm standing here and you're there, that I'm not really aware of the problems that you're facing. And I'm aware that I'm not able to fix your problems or solve your problems. But what I can do is I can help you shift your perspective, and I can help you improve your mood. And so today, on Apothecary Wisdom, we are going to go over 25 tips, simple practices that can shift your perspective so you can feel more open and more expanded, more clear, more capable, and improve your mood. Right? So go ahead and listen to this, because it doesn't really matter what you're going through. Like if you're going through, like it's either stress from work is really overwhelming, or your relationships are not satisfying, or you're at home and suddenly you're homeschooling your kids, or you had a business and it just crumbled because of COVID, or you're at home with postpartum depression, or any number of things that put you down in the dumps. There is something on this list that can help you. I feel confident in that. Some of these things are so quick that you can start to feel results like within less than a minute. Some of them take a little longer, but all of them are doable. Okay? If this is our first time meeting, hello, my name is Maria Chaudhry. I'm a midwife and an herbalist, a mother, a friend, a Qigong practitioner. You know, essentially I'm a fellow human walking this beautiful path we call life. And this is a live video on Facebook and on Instagram. And I'm in front of the camera and Heaven's behind the camera. So I encourage you to interact and to comment and to share. We're going to engage together throughout this video. Just know that I'm not really going to stop going throughout the video, and I'll respond to all your questions and comments after. And if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead right now, push like and subscribe to our channel and ring the bell, especially if you like videos about women's health and spirituality from a midwife and herbal perspective. And if you're listening on SoundCloud, share this with all your friends, okay? So let's get started. 25 simple ways to improve your mood. Number 1, top of the list, is to eat chocolate. So I'll just start with that. Let's eat some chocolate. All right. Number 2 is to allow yourself to smell beautiful things. And allow yourself to taste chocolate and let that sink in. But to smell beautiful things, you can anoint yourself with oils, right? You can anoint yourself with rose water. It's an incredibly sacred, holy sensation. You can put essential oils on your pulses, and you can put them on your palms, on your heart, on your womb, on your body, and your forehead, and your third eye, and your crown. You can bless yourself with the oils. So, grapefruit and orange are very uplifting and joyful. Peppermint is energizing, and lavender is really calming. Okay? Number 3 is, this is a Qigong tip. It's shake your body and bounce up and down. So in Qigong, I go through this practice a lot longer and slower, but just essentially what I want you to do, you can do it with me right now, is what you do is like you're you're having a moment, right? You got to shake it off, right? You got to shake it off. You got to get present. You got to just like, whoop, right? And so first you start off slow, and first your mind is not in your body, and then you're like, oh no, I'm getting in my body. And then you get yourself in your body, and then you start putting your mind down in your fingers, and in your wrist, and your elbows, and you start changing up all the directions, and then the momentum builds, and before you know it, your shoulders are going front and back, your arms are swinging side to side, your hips are shaking, your boobs are bouncing, your belly jiggling, everything that wiggles, let it jiggle. You know, before you know it, your whole body, you're like shaking and like, whoop, right? And then you start jumping up and down and you start skipping and you just start like really activating and energizing all your cells, right? Boom. And then when you pause, you can already feel the difference that makes. That's a huge shift. So number 4 is related to that, and that's to pound your chest and tap your head. And so when you're in your head a lot because you're overwhelmed, you got to get out of your head and you got to get into your body, right? So tapping your head is a great way to shift your focus. So when you tap your head, though, there's a way. You go from the front to the back and from the middle to the out. So tap your head from the front to the back, from the middle to the edge. Then you start pounding your chest, and you're like, I am strong. My body is strong. Every cell in my body is working perfectly. And you start like activating all your meridians and all your muscles. Right, and you pound your belly, pound your glutes, pound your legs, pound your back. Really just energize, activate, motivate, release, right? That's awesome. So that's number 4. One thing I want to say, number 4, there is a technique called tapping. Tapping is EFT, or emotional freedom release technique. And you can look at that and you tap certain acupressure points or certain meridians, and it releases a lot of the emotions that are stored up in your body. We know our body holds emotion, and we got to get it out somehow. And these shaking and pounding are great ways to do that. In relation to that, number 5 is make sounds. So this is a Qigong tip also. A brief little overview of Qigong. There is one category that's 5 animal sports. There's another category real similar, 4 seasons Qigong. But the point I'm trying to make is from the perspective of Chinese practitioner, your organs hold emotion, and each of your organs has a color, it has an emotion, it has a vibration, it has a sound. So essentially your liver, for an unbalanced person, their liver holds a lot of anger. They're really angry. An unbalanced person in their spleen, they hold a lot of worry. An unbalanced person in their kidneys, they hold a lot of fear. They're afraid all the time. An unbalanced person in their lungs, they hold a lot of grief. And an unbalanced person in their heart holds hatred or apathy. They just don't give a shit anymore, right? So we want to shift that, and we want to be harmonized. And so the funny thing, you'll notice a theme throughout this whole talk is about like shifting from this overwhelmed, sad place to a funny outlook, right? And so the heart has the animal that's associated with this, and this type of Qigong is the monkey, and the color is red, and we want to shift from like hatred to joy, right? And so in order to do that, we make the sound, which is the he sound or ha sound. And so this is funny, and so the Qigong movement is really hysterical, actually. Most people don't want to do it because they look goofy, like I'm about to look. So you become the monkey, right? And think of monkeys. They're playful, they're curious, they're silly. You can't take your eyes off of them, and they make funny faces, right? And they're like, right? And they're bouncing around, and they're like pounding their chest. And so when and I start doing that all the time. It's my favorite new sound. My family knows, oh, Maria must be feeling some kind of way if they hear me across the house. And the monkey sound is an immediate shift. Like I right now am like, my smile isn't fake. It's a real smile. I go to these Qigong workshops, and these people, they're so sophisticated, and they know all the moves, and they're so smart, and they're acupuncturists, and they're doctors, and they got it together in all these ways, but they cannot loosen up enough to make the monkey sound. And so they know they don't have joy in their life, and you feel sad for them for that. So just be the monkey right now. Right? So that leaves me to what number? Number 6. Okay, number 6 is smile and laugh and fake it if you have to, right? So if you start pounding your chest and bouncing around being the monkey, you're no longer faking it. But if you have to fake it, then watch comedy, watch some slapstick. I mean, there is no question why America's Funniest Home Videos is still popular. Watch little videos about animals. I posted this video about pandas. I literally watched it 4 or 5 times last week because it was so funny. And if you want to shift, watch videos. There are these videos about sea otters, mama sea otters and their babies, and they're floating on their back. If you want to oxytocin shift, watch that. Because laughter therapy is a very real thing. They get groups of people together, and at first it's really contrived, and you're like, just laugh. Ha 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 ha. And before you know it, the whole auditorium is busting up, gut-wrenching, side-splitting, pee your pants laughing. And that is healing. So find a way to laugh. So go ahead, I'm going to check in with you. Did you shake? Did you pound? Were you the monkey with me? If so, put it in the comments so I can see what your experience was like. And remember, if I say anything that you resonate with, put a heart and put a thumbs up so then we can know we're communicating, and I'll know what I can expand on in other videos. Okay, number 7. Number 7 is surround yourself with color. That's another Qigong perspective also. So colors, just like everything in life is frequency and a vibration. So sounds are frequency and vibration. Colors are frequency and vibration. So color red, the color red, I wore this shirt specifically so I could talk about it. The color red can really make you angry, or it can piss you off, or you can be warning, or you can be totally turned on, right? Colors like yellows and oranges are really uplifting, especially if you're sad and you're just kind of down and out, and then there's a yellow sunflower, boom, it just lights up your space, right? Greens and blues are calming and healing and peaceful. So find your mood and then find the opposite thing and wrap yourself up in that color. Okay? And related to that, number 8 is decorate your space. So you want to fill your home and your office and your vehicle with beautiful things, with colors, with scents, with aroma, with good lighting, with live plants and flowers and art, and with fountains and wind chimes, right? Decorate your space. And number 9 is to declutter. Because when you have a cluttered space, you have an overwhelmed mind. And so the simple act of clearing your desk or your kitchen table or that corner in your house over there, that corner, sometimes just takes a few minutes, and then you feel so much more clear and focused. Number 10 is to light a candle. You can light a little tea light candle. You can light those tall, beautiful ones. I really love the Mother Mary candles, or all the different colored chakra candles, right? You can burn incense. Immediately, as soon as I light my incense, I feel myself immediately shift into a prayer space, a sacred space, a meditative space. You can burn healing herbs and sacred herbs. So if you need something sweet in your life, goodness, positive, gentle, sweet things, then burn some sweetgrass, right? If you need to purify the area because it's got a lot of toxic thoughts and toxic people and toxic emotions and a lot of bacteria and just a lot of stuff that you no longer want in your space, then sage and cedar, right? And then there's so many other ones. You could be burning copal and palo santo and frankincense and myrrh. Those are all really beautiful resins that shift your mood and take a normal space and create a sacred environment. All right. So, number 11 is get present. And so sometimes even if we're in less than ideal situations, which is like most of every minute of every day, there's something beautiful and something not ideal that's always happening. But it really helps us cope with and be present with the fullness and the wholeness of the totality of our situation. And when we can see life as wholeness and being present in it, it just helps us feel more stable. And because our minds tend to wander, and sometimes our mind is wandering to really beautiful places. Like you start to have these daydreams that are like clear and amazing, and it's really like your soul is calling you to play a bigger game, right? To come out, to remember your wildness and your divine and your feminine. And so there's a part of that that's happening, but that's not what I'm talking about in this moment. What I'm talking about in this moment is sometimes your mind creates these scenarios, and we get all caught up and all wrapped up about these conversations that never really happen, or this scenario that will never happen, and it makes a spiral into a very negative and really terrible place, right? So put in the comments if you've experienced, if you can relate to any time where you've had a made up, total, pure fantasy conversation and it ruined your mood. Put it in the comments. So we want to get out of our head and we want to be present in reality, right? So sometimes you just got to clear your head, right? Shake it up. And then we want to get present. And so here are some ways to get present. So I invite you to do this with me. Just go ahead and get present right now. So the first thing, I learned this years ago from a security guard. I worked in a hotel and was a massage therapist when I was 21. And I remember this guy said to me one time, "Hey, just remember one thing." And I'm like, "What's that?" "You are where your feet are." And I was kind of like, "Okay, cool." And then went off. But now I really know what he's saying. You are where your feet are. You are not where your head just was. Right? You're right here. So feel your feet. You feel your feet in your shoes, on the floor, or feel your bare foot touching the stool, or your feet in the socks on the couch. Put your mind in your feet. That's right where you are. And say to yourself, I am right here, right where my feet are. Right? And then take a moment and look around your environment and see. Like, see what's in front of you. Right? And then see what's to the right of you. And see what's behind you. And to the left of you. See what's below you. See what's above you. And then while you're doing that, engage your senses. So you're asking yourself, what is it that I see? And then you're asking yourself, what is it that I smell? What is it that I can taste? What is it that I can feel? Right? What is it that I can hear? And then find 5 things in your immediate environment right here, right now, that are beautiful and that you're grateful for. So right now, in this moment, I'm looking right at you. I see you, you are beautiful, and I'm grateful for this moment. In this moment, I am grateful for being surrounded by beautiful medicinal healing herbs for their medicine and for their wisdom. I'm grateful for this space, this candle, for these tools to help me shift. I'm grateful for the ability to breathe. And I need one more thing. I'm grateful for the art and for the art of this space, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to get to share myself. So put in the comments right now of the things that you can see that are beautiful and that you're grateful for in this present moment. Okay? Number 12 is to meditate. Now, meditation for some people, they're like, oh my gosh, that's way too much, that's hard. And it is hard, especially when you're overwhelmed. Meditation, however, the simple act of what we just did, that is a profound meditation, very grounding. We all shifted with that. I can feel that shift. And the simple act of being able, but I say it's a simple act, but it's a skill. It's a cultivated skill to be able to anchor with your breath, to follow your breath, to deepen your breath, to lead your breath down into your belly and to relax your body. And doing that will shift you. Sometimes, though, we need guidance, right? I can do that on my own, but sometimes I really love to be guided. I love to go to martial arts classes and to Qigong classes. And since COVID, I haven't been to a martial arts class, but I've done a few online Qigong classes. But what I love about it, not only is just the art and how I feel in my body, but I'm a person in my life that I have to make a lot of decisions, and I tend to be the manager or the leader and tell a bunch of people what to do. I guide them. And it's so refreshing to go to a class and to be led. Like I have no idea what's about to happen, and I just do what they say. And a good instructor will create almost a ceremony out of it. There'll be a beginning and a middle and an end to the class, and you'll have started off slow, and then you've amplified it, and then you've closed back down, and like being led through something like that. So if you like to be led through meditations, I have 2 offerings for you. One is I've recorded several guided meditations. They're all different for different purposes. And there's a playlist on YouTube. And then there's also another playlist on SoundCloud. And there are different meditations, and I'll link those below. The other thing I can offer you is to invite you, an open invitation, to join me for a Qigong class. We practice on Zoom every Friday mornings. It's for donation. Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time. You don't need to have any experience, and it's totally fun. You can drop in once or come a bunch of times. The group is an amazing group of people. The link is down below. Okay. Number 13, give and receive hugs. So physical touch from another person, or just physical touch in general, really shifts our moods. So hug yourself. Hug your partner, hug your kids, hug your family, hug your friends, hug your dog, hug a stranger, hug a tree. And trees are great huggers. They can hold you for a long time, and they're great listeners. They don't want to squirm out of your hands. They'll hold you as long as you want to be held, right? So hug a tree. Okay, number 14 is get cozy and get comfortable. Sometimes on hard days, it just seems like everything is just hard, right? It's hard to find a comfortable place. So like you have your favorite blanket, your favorite pillow, your favorite sweater or scarf, something silky, something satiny, something fluffy. Wrap yourself in that. Number 15 is have an orgasm or more, or have multiple orgasms. Be with yourself, be with your partner, whatever it takes, but that oxytocin release is so freeing and so opening. It improves your mood on every level. Number 16, do something different. Be spontaneous. Change it up. And it can be little things like you're driving in the car, you've never driven down that road. Drive down that road. Listen to a new song. Eat a new food. Change it up. You brush your teeth every day with your right hand. Brush your teeth now with your left hand and stand on one leg. Just do something different to change it up, to be spontaneous, and that's going to open you up enough to see the next spontaneous thing, and that helps get you out of a rut. Okay, number 17, go outside, get some fresh air, take a walk every day for at least 30 minutes. Go outside, go onto your patio, onto your porch, in your yard, down the street, on a trail, go to the park. Be with your friend, be by yourself, be with your dog. I don't know, but just get the fresh air. And number 18, call an upbeat friend. Not your Debbie Downer friend. The upbeat friend, right? The one that you can process your feelings with, that you can vent. Most of the time we don't need someone to help fix our problems. We just need someone to listen and to validate our feelings, and that has a positive, silver lining perspective. Number 19, positive self-talk. There's so much we could be saying about this. I'm just going to say in brief, like affirmations, right? But when you're talking to yourself, you have to be honest. Do not try to placate and pretend and lie to yourself with some affirmation. Everything's working out for me, when it doesn't feel like that's true, right? So you have to talk to yourself as if you're talking to yourself as your best self, as your higher self, as your wiser self. And you're talking to yourself as if you're going to be that, right? So you're going to talk to yourself as your wiser, broader self. Or if you're like, I don't really know, man, talk to yourself like you're talking to your best friend, somebody that you want the best for, that you want them to succeed and to thrive. You talk to yourself like you're talking to them. And you look in the mirror. Some days it's hard to look in the mirror, right? And you talk to yourself. And so this is what I used to do. I used to go to births, right? I go to births. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. The baby's coming soon, but not just yet. So I have enough time to get a moment to myself. I'm in the bathroom, 3 o'clock in the morning. Wash your face. Your hair's all pulled back, tired, frizzy-headed, overwhelmed. She's screaming in the other room. And you're like, you're exhausted. And I used to do this. This is how I'd get through it. I'd look at myself, wash my face, look in the mirror, and be like, hey, you, yeah. I am so glad you're here right now. You are the exact person that I want to be here right now. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly what to say. You know exactly where to be, to do everything that you can possibly do to make sure this situation has the most benevolent outcome for all parties involved. You can do it. Take a deep breath, feel your feet. You are where your feet are. Have your hands be guided, and go do it right now. You got this. And then I'd bow to myself and say, yes, ma'am. And then I'd go out and then go do my midwife stuff. I'd have to self-talk myself. So go in the bathroom sometimes and self-talk yourself and be honest. What I say now when I first wake up in the morning, literally, it's dark in the room, the alarm goes off, boom, I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm grateful, I'm in alignment, I'm doing all the right things with all the right people. But the truth is, for a while, for a long time I believed it, and then for a good long time I didn't believe that anymore. I didn't necessarily know that I was in the right place at the right time, doing all the right things with all the right people, so I stopped saying it. But now it's coming back, so I must come back and to think that that's a truth. So find your truths and write it down and put it in places where you can see it. So put in the comments what you say to yourself when you believe in yourself and when you need to bolster yourself up. How do you talk to yourself? Let us know. Okay, number 20 is you got to dress up. You got to look the part. If you want to be happy, you want to be a happy, successful, sensual, sexy, inspiring, powerful, compassionate, beautiful being, well then look like it, right? Dress like it. Even if you're at home and no one's going to see you, if it makes you feel good, then put some lipstick on and make your eyes shine, fix your hair, put on a nice shirt. You know, that it just changes it up. It makes it as if you already are what you're trying to be. Because you know what? Dress like you're beautiful, because you know what? You are. You are. Okay, number 21, invite the cheerleaders. So I did this on my own before, but I didn't do it quite as flamboyantly and excessive and expressive as this woman does. Her name is Carolyn Elliott, and she wrote this book called Existential Kink. It's a pretty intense little book, but it's a good book. But anyways, the point is she talks about inviting your cheerleaders. So the point of this is to be, these cheerleaders are outlandish, right? And so they're like in their tutus, maybe they're like rainbows and unicorns and glitter and too short of skirts and too tight of clothes, or maybe they're a bunch of drag queens, or who knows what they are. I realize my cheerleaders are pandas. Now I see my cheerleaders are pandas, and they're like roly-poly and getting into stuff. And so on the days that's less than ideal and you find yourself spiraling into like, oh my gosh, I'm in this again, your cheerleaders come out. Oh, hey, oh my gosh, woohoo! And these cheerleaders are silly and goofy, like they're doing backflips, but then they're falling down and their hair's in their face and they hop back up, woohoo! And you're like, oh my gosh, my house is a wreck, woohoo! I love that. Oh my gosh, my baby's screaming his head off, woohoo! That's the best thing. Backflip, roly-poly, woohoo! Oh my gosh, I just put myself out there and he totally rejected me again, woohoo! I love that. That totally turns me on. And then you just like, woohoo! Paperwork, yeah, get audited, woohoo! All my stuff just got picked up by the UPS and all my packages are all messed up and that's a bunch of headache, woohoo! Right? That, you just do that. Let your cheerleaders cheer you on. So, put in the comments what your cheerleaders are so excited for today, because they're excited about something today, because something cool just got them activated. All right, number 22. This is change the station. This too, I used to always do on my own, but then somebody else said it in a way, so I'm going to give her credit. And her name, she's like an internet feminine guru. Her name is Rachel Jane. Anyways, it's about changing the station. So you have to imagine with me. Remember back in the day when we had the radios, we changed the dial? So you have the radio station, and when you fine-tune your radio, remember everything's vibration, everything's frequency. Then you're fine-tuning, you hear static, and then you hear a radio, you hear a song. Right? And then you keep going and you fine tune, oh, and there's another song, there's another station. Right? The thing is, even if you don't have your radio on or you're not on the station, all the stations are always playing all the time. Right? So if I'm on 94.4 Radio John Deek, right? And I'm listening to that song, and then I change over to 93.3 The Eagle, 94.4 is still playing even though I'm listening to 93.3. I think you get that. So here we are in our life, and you're like going through, and all of a sudden you like to stumble into your bad mood. You're like, dang, haven't I already like done all this work? Haven't I already journaled about this? Haven't I already lit the fire and threw my stuff into the fire? Haven't I already like pulled out all the power cords? Haven't I already cried a river? Haven't I already processed my dad abandoning me or whatever? Haven't I already done the work? But then why am I still in this pattern again? So you have to give yourself a little bit of a break, because the frequencies are always happening at all times. So the frequency of fear is always happening. The frequency of lack is always happening. The frequency of pain is always happening. Loneliness and isolation is always happening. Just like joy is always happening, bliss is always happening, connection is always happening, expansion is always happening. It's all always happening. It's just where you're tuned in. So sometimes you did do the work, you're just tuned in. What you're tuned in over here, that's called gloomy FM, right? You're just like, dee-dee-dee-dun. The song came on the radio, you're all happy, and then the song came on the radio, and suddenly you're back in gloomy FM. And so sometimes it's as simple as switching the station, right? So then you can go into switch the station, which is reality FM, which is better than gloomy FM, because gloomy FM, everything sucks. Right? There's no way out. It all sucks. Everywhere, every direction, all sucks. Reality FM is better than gloomy FM, but at the same time, reality FM is where we just did our meditation. It's better, But then sometimes reality FM, the cold, harsh, stark truth of the situation is pretty, whoo, right? And sometimes reality FM, we have to remember, is not the totality, right? Because reality is just the evidence of what has already happened. For example, when I step on the scale and I'm like, oh, that is saying, that is the evidence or the result of the exercise and the food that I did. That doesn't have anything to do with what I'm going to do and what I'm going to weigh later. The same thing when you go in and you look at your bank account and you're like, ooh, that's the result of how much money you just spent or how much money you just earned, but it has nothing to do with your earning potential, right? It's just what you have been. So reality is actually very limited, right? And so then the next station you can listen to, boom, is Potential FM. Potential FM is all about possibility. It's opening yourself up to the pure possibility and to the connection. And this is where you're feeling that expandedness, that clarity. When I talked about earlier and said sometimes your mind takes you to these places that are amazing. You don't exactly know how it's going to work out, but you know that it's possible and you're being pulled and you're being called to something that's far bigger and far greater. That's in Potential FM, right? So Potential FM is always playing, as Gloomy FM is always playing, as Reality FM is always playing. It's just where are you going to align yourself? That's one beautiful thing about Qigong. Qigong really helps you get into alignment, right? So I want to say something, there's people that are going to want you to like live in reality. And there's people that are going to want you to live in pure Potential FM all the time, right? And that is a little bit of a fantasy also, right? And so you have to find this fine art, this fine skill of navigating between the worlds and between the frequencies, right? Because what I don't want us to do, and I didn't put this on the script, but this happens every time I start talking and I feel like there's another piece I want to say. Some of these tips and tricks that I'm giving you, they're to help you like get out of your funk right now so that you can like figure it out. But I'm not suggesting to spiritually bypass it. So let's say, for example, this happens to me. This happened to me kind of recently. So I'm walking up to the office and I'm on this beautiful stone path and I'm like, whoa, look at, it's like the plants are blooming, the skullcap is blooming purple, and I see echinacea and the herbs, and oh my goodness, there's flower petals in the path, and then I'm like, boom, there's dog shit also in the path, right? And I'm stepping in dog shit in the midst of the beauty, right? So I'm not suggesting that you just like put some essential oils on it and just say happy things and just zoom into Fantasy FM and just not give any reality to the fact that you're standing in a mess, right? You have to do the work. That's the work of alchemy. That's the great work. That's what Qigong does. That's what meditation does. That's what journaling does. That's what self-actualization is. It's the great work. It's not to just be pretending. It's to actually be able to clean the mess and grow and expand and have some tools. So I'm not suggesting to spiritually bypass, but I am suggesting that Potential FM is always happening and you can tap into it. Does that make sense? Put in the comments so I can know where you're at. Number 23 just restates what I just said. Literally change the station. There's a song on the radio. You're like, do, and then song on the radio comes on and you're like, duh. You could go, or just change it. When you're already sad, don't listen to Tracy Chapman. When you're already pissed, don't listen to Ani DeFranco. But if you need to get empowered and bold, you better start listening to Ani, right? And if you need to settle down and get some like understanding what's happening in the world, listen to Tracy. Come on, change it up. Okay, number 24. We're getting close to the end here. Number 24 is you want to eat for vibrancy and you want to eat for a positive mood. So that means you want to eat healthy greens and proteins and fats, and you want to drink your herbal teas and have your herbs. Because when you can have your nourishing herbs and your adaptogenic herbs and your nutrient-rich food, you're going to be able to sleep better. Your immune system is going to be stronger. Your hormones are going to be more balanced. Your mood is going to be stable. So in brief, if you want to drink some teas that will help nourish you and help stabilize you so you can move gracefully through life. That is women's balance tea, right? And then if you're in a state of like depression and things are heavy on you and you need to help like activate and animate, you drink women's balance tea, and then you have some chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a way to energize you, oxygenate you, wake you up without caffeine. And if you're maxed out, stressed out, overwhelmed, can't sleep, oh my gosh, hand on your head, then have some women's balance tea and have some Solid and Serene. That will help calm you down, help you enter into a parasympathetic state so that you can take a deep breath and you can shift your station and you can meditate and you can do all the things that you need to do. Okay? The links to those are down below. Another thing I want to say briefly about the tea, why tea is so amazing and so special, is because it gives you the opportunity to shift from ordinary and from the simple to the sacred very quickly and make a common act and turn it into a ceremony. And I made a whole video about that. It's called Transforming the Simple to Sacred, and that's linked below. I really encourage you to watch that video. Okay, number 25. This is the last one here. Number 25 is to invite distractions, right? So, you know, we typically we're like, oh my gosh, I have all these chores. But see those chores, those mundane chores, as gifts. Because when you're washing the dishes or sweeping the floor or doing the laundry or cooking the food or packing boxes or whatever it is that you're doing, there are ways to take your active mind, your overwhelmed mind, and put it onto a task. Because a lot of times overwhelmed just means you have so much going on, you don't know where to start, right? And so a task like that gives you a place to start and a place to focus your mind, and it gives you a goal that you just accomplished. So you accomplished a goal, and then your goal cleaned your house and nourished you. So those things actually are really helpful on lots and lots of levels. So seeing those mundane things as opportunities to shift your mood and to nourish you. Oh, and I guess the bonus one is do something nice for somebody else just because. Quit thinking about yourself and do something for somebody else because you want to. Okay, my friends, I hope you got something, at least smiled. Remember, be the monkey. And I hope you got something that helped you shift from funky to fun and funny. And because we all have those days, and a lot of times I have to use these multiple times in a day. And the thing is, I encourage you, please put in the comments what stood out to you and what do you do? Because these are just 25 things. I could think of 25 more things too. What do you do that helps you shift your mood? And that'll help us all. And also, I just want to mention my next video is going to be more specific about depression and postpartum depression. So if that's you and you want to know about the specific herbs and the specific supplements and practices and meditation and things, a structure and framework to help you move through postpartum grief and postpartum depression, please watch that video. And there's a link to that one down below. Right, currently it's a blog as of this filming, but next week it'll be a video. And I want to remind you that all the herbs and all these other videos and all the support is for you down below. And I ask that you share this video with your friends, push like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And just remember, my friends, drink deep and always walk in beauty.